What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Brandon Coin. And I ran into a little bit of discrepancy. Everybody seems to do it a different way. So I contacted the Amazon seller where I actually got this. They still sell them. So they seem to have pretty decent reviews. But I'm talking about my grid tie inverter. I've used this in the past, and I previously used it, I think, less efficiently. And that's because the input voltage is 22 to 50 volts. Let me flip it around so you can see. So it's 22 to 50 volts DC, and then it outputs, wall power. Previously, I was using my solar panels, which output about 22 to 24 volts. And I was using those coming in at the 22 to 24 volts. But that means if the sun came over and they dropped voltage, basically then this grid tie inverter was doing nothing. So some people are like, oh, you need to get a charge controller and a battery before it goes to this. That way, voltage always stays above the 22 volts because it'll burn out the inverter. I contacted the company that sells these on Amazon, and I was like, what happens if voltage drops below 22 volts? And they said, basically, this just works like a heat sink at that point, but you will not get any output. So it's not going to output something crazy wrong. And I'm like, okay, I just don't want to damage anything. They said it's not required to have a charge controller or a battery before the inverter, but it is recommended to use if I'm using they said the panels in the range of 22 to 50 volts. So I got those panels, and in full sun, they're doing about 24 to 23 volts. So if I put those in series, I should be around, 48 to 46 volts, which that'll put it on the upper end of acceptable. I think that'll still be good. I still want to be careful and, keep everything safe. So I'm going to get some series connectors. I did want to do a little experiment today. Unfortunately, it is overcast, so I don't know what kind of voltage we're actually going to be getting out of the solar panels. But I wanted to wire them up in series real quick and see what kind of voltage we were going to be getting. I know I put everything on pause because, you got these people like, oh, if you do it like this, your house is going to burn down. Or, oh, if you do it like this, that's the wrong way. And then, oh, you got to do it this way and that way. And there's 1,000 ways to skin it. So let's see what we're doing, right? All right, so in overcast, they're doing about 19.7. Every now and then I'll spike up to like 19.8. If I stand in front of it, it goes down to like 19.1. If I stand back, we're actually getting 20 volts. Look at that. So I was blocking a little bit of sun unknowingly. That means if I put them in series, I should be getting somewhere around like 40 volts, which right now I would not be creating any usable power out of my inverter unless I was wired in series, because 20 volts isn't high enough on the inverter for it to be functioning, I guess. By the way, I'm super green to this. None of this is a how-to guide. This is literally just watching me fumble through creating a system. And I know I need to clean the top of that. Somebody, like 10 people commented on my video and they're like, clean your panels. I haven't mounted them yet. I'm still trying to figure out everything before I do that. I'm trying to plan it, and you know how that goes. 40 volts would be making power on an overcast day like this, whereas 20 volts would not on that inverter. So that's, I guess, the big advantage. So let me jimmy rig these up and see if I can't get them to show me 40 volts on that meter. Aha! We have 40 volts. Okay, so for people that are like me and don't really know a lot about like electrical systems, if you put all your positives together and all your negatives together, that's called parallel, and that ups your amperage. It does not up your voltage. But if you do it in series and you jump, basically, well, for two panels, it's really simple. You put one of your positives to the negative on this side, and then you use the positive on this side and the negative on this side. So it's acting like one big panel, not two panels, if that makes sense. So it ups your voltage, but your amperage stays the same. So now we have 40 volts at, I don't know what amperage, but the amperage stays the same. So that means right now we could actually be pumping power into the house and saving money, which is exciting. So, and that's at like not even a good angle. We don't even have good sun right now. Look at that. As I walked away, because I was blocking a little bit, we're at 41 volts. This is, I see where people are talking about, just like mining, solar is kind of addictive, because it's like the more you can save, the more you want to spend. And then once you get your setup done, you don't have to worry about the market fluctuating as much, because you just worry about the sun, you know. And as long as you're not wanting to grid tie. Now, I did see where some people said grid tying in certain areas, they pay you back almost a 1-to-1 rate. I wish. I have a friend in Australia. He was actually telling me that his dad set up a big system and they were doing a 1-to-1 conversion on grid tie, and then they pulled it back, and now it's like a fraction of that. So everybody was all like kind of upset about it. But yeah, they don't do anywhere close to 1-to-1 here in my area. So now I am going to let's run some lines inside. I'll probably just do them temporarily. I don't want to cut any holes yet until I find out the exact mounting location for this. So I'm just going to pop that window open a little bit and pull the screen off and run some lines in and see if we can't get that inverter to fire up. Make sure it even works, because it's been sitting for a while. It might not even work. All right, so that's what I was afraid of. I tested everything. I unplugged this, plugged it in. We were getting error codes. I looked it up, and it's like, it says general voltage error. I tested this, and we have 40 volts coming in. So we have enough voltage. Let's see if we can get the camera to stay right there while I test this. So we got, yeah, we got 40 volts, which should be should be plenty on. Oh, I had it upside down. Sorry about that. And nothing can get it to stop erroring out. So I don't know if while this was in storage, it might have got some moisture. This is run there for a second, and then it'll just go back to error. And of course the error codes have not a lot of help. So the panels are still good, my inverter's not. So yeah, that's why we do everything and test it before we actually set it up permanently, because you never know with older hardware. So I'm gonna get on the hunt for a better grid tie inverter. I'm definitely gonna make sure it has the like the circuit isolation, so that way if the grid power goes down, it shuts itself off as well. I know that's like a big one, and that's why I made sure to plug it in. And actually it's plugged in inside, so it has power going into it, and it's supposed to then let it kick on, but it's not for some reason, and I have no idea why. But anyway, thanks for watching my daily struggles of figuring out and playing with a little bit of solar. So I will see you guys on the next one. Adios. Side note, I did check, and all these fuses are good, by the way.